Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about RuPaul's Drag Race Season 16, Episode 5, simply titled Girl Groups. Last week on Drag Race, the queens competed in RDR Live and a Night of 1,000 Shares runway that saw Plasma take the win and Geneva and Mirage falling into the bottom two, with Mirage not knowing the words to the song and being eliminated. If you want to catch up, I put a link in the subject so you can catch up on my previous recaps. Also, if you like the content, don't forget to subscribe. But let's dive into it. The girls return to the workroom after the elimination and it's quite somber. Mandatory says it feels like a funeral procession. They mourn Mirage and move to the couches to celebrate Plasma's win, but there's still tensity in the air as Q is staring Plasma down as she clearly feels she deserved the win last week. Q, who I do feel the producers are trying to crack, gets emotional about being in the top and losing again, and Jane, who has won a challenge, has no sympathy and tells her she has no place to be upset. Mandatory and Q agree that they basically don't like Jane and think she's insensitive. The next day, Mandatory and Plain Jane have a pointed conversation about makeup.
Amanda, you look so pretty like this.
Thank you, Jane.
It's plain.
Well, it is plain.
And Ru tells them for their mini challenge, they're making a book cover. Going through these book covers, Plasma is All That Plaz, talking about stealing Nancy Reagan's wig. Megami's It's Megami Not Megami is about her being Staten Island trash. Mandatory's Time for a Meeting is about her being a gold digger. Plain Jane is Lady Cox Du Stink, and she makes Hepsi Cola in The Revenge of Cox Du Stink. Maya is in a Catwoman suit in Angry Puss. Nymphia is a banana with hairy legs and a banana sticking out from her crotch in her book Bananas. Morphine's book is BBL. Ru says,
I'm gonna guess it means big black labia?
Saphira's book is called Throat Goat. I wonder what that's about. Dawn's book, Bubble Up, is about gas. Geneva's book is about hairy legs, and she shows off her hairy legs. I didn't need to see this. Memoirs of a Muse is about Tsunami wearing a bang,
Of which she is not wearing.
Q's book is about her screaming.
Why?
Ru seemed to get a kick out of this. Ru decides that Saphira wins this challenge, and once again they cut to Q being disappointed. For their maxi challenge, they'll be in 3 girl groups. They need to write a verse and choreograph their routines.
I'm about to eat. I'm about to...
Plasma, Saphira, and Geneva will be captains, with Geneva being a captain for being in the bottom, which didn't make sense to me. Megami and Jane are the last 2 to be picked, and Plasma picks Jane, which annoys Amanda, who doesn't want her to be on her team. Megami is picked last by Geneva, so I hope she does well because that's not nice. The girls brainstorm together with Dawn, Morphine, Saphira, and Q seeming to work well together. Plasma, Tsunami, Jane, and Amanda need to work through their differences.
I've written lyrics a lot.
I co-wrote the lyrics to Burger Finger.
I'm a trained vocalist.
With Megami, Nymphia, Geneva, and Maya, Megami cries about being picked last in life, and it's definitely a sympathetic moment here.
I'm a force to be reckoned with.
Nymphia struggles with her lyrics.
Banana.
Banana.
Morphine wonders what else there is to Nymphia other than banana.
What does a yak sound like?
The queens get to the stage to learn choreo. Plasma is roadrunnering through this.
Amanda's gonna be standing right here. Double arm. Ha. Pot of beret shampoo. Left and right.
What the hell is she on here? Poor Tsunami is in hell in this moment. Amanda says she was in kinky boots and is impressing the other girls, even giving tips to Jane. Team Hairy Leg is up next with Maya as the shy, quiet choreographer, whispering directions to the other girls. Maya gets frustrated with Megami for not following along with choreography.
Team Geneva might be in danger.
Nymphia shares that she started off in a K-pop group so she can help the others with their steps. Saphira says Nymphia is playing a game and hiding her talents. On Team Saphira, Morphine calls herself the Abby Lee Miller of Drag Race, and she's crushing her choreo. Remember last week when I said Morphine would be in danger? She's crushing it. Q is struggling in this group, and the rest of the girls are being kind of mean-spirited about it, laughing at her.
Yeah, it's the robot.
Frankenstein, bitch.
The next day in the workroom, Amanda is still feeling confident. Geneva doesn't want to be in the bottom again, and Q confronts Jane.
I wasn't trying to invalidate your feelings.
That's exactly what it did, though.
Jane says she has more respect for Q than she has with Amanda, and Amanda hears this.
Such a honestly.
Get her ass. I was a bitch to Amanda. Did I mean what I said? Yes.
So they're fighting as they do their makeup right ahead of their performance. Jane finishes her apology to Q and in the process makes things worse with Amanda. Saphira tries to give Jane some motherly advice, but she's really not trying to change.
I'm totally just living out my shady bitch fantasy here.
On the runway, Ru is wearing a pink and purple shiny dress. This is a classic look and she looks like a Barbie doll. Michelle is also dragging it up with a shiny dress. One of my favorite judges notice T.S. Madison is there in red, and Iconopop is there too. Who cares? On to the girl groups. First up is Morphine's group. Morphine does a great job and twerks. Q ends up not really doing that great of a job at first, and her tights don't really match at all, but she does well with her choreography. She has the slightest mix-up, and they cut to T.S. extremely unhappy. Saphira and Dawn are better than the other two, really standing out with great verses. Team Plasma's up next, and Plasma's verse is a throwaway to me. Amanda Tori's verse isn't as good as she made it seem like it'd be, but she nails the choreography and she looks great. Tsunami seems to be struggling with the choreography in the back, but they don't really focus on it. Jane says, "Don't break my heart, just break my back." Geneva's team starts with Maya doing tricks and flipping. Geneva does a split, as we expect at this point. Megami honestly nails her verse, and Nymphia's verse is full of her branding. I think this group was the best, maybe because they had the best song too. This group makes the other girls nervous. Dawn says,
"I don't get nervous. I get drop dead scared."
For this challenge as a whole, I really wanted a breakup bye-bye type bop that I can listen to on Spotify, but these songs were all trash. I wouldn't listen to any of them again. It was just a commercial for Ru's music. Let's talk about these runways where the category is pussycat wigs. Morphine is wearing a Catwoman dress that reminds me of what Maya wore in the mini challenge with cat scratches. I think Maya probably brought that cat suit for this runway. Morphine looks great. I love the glittery cat scratch on her cheek. Q is from my favorite family restaurant, Medieval Times, as a knight, but she has stigmata and is bleeding from her eyes. Why is she bleeding from her eyes? Saphira is wearing a wig that is actually a pussycat. This wig looked crazy on her, but I really thought the Dr. Evil aspect of this was funny. Dawn's pussycat wig isn't really a pussycat wig, but I think the rest of the outfit looks pretty cool. Plasma is doing Hermes with headphones. I don't really like this. I think the Greek gold looks have been done so well on this show. Not every look also needs to have big capped ear headphones. Well, not any look needs it, actually. Amanda Tori's look, she's a bird's nest and her head is an egg that's hatching, and there's other heads in the nest as well. I don't really like this dress. I think that the nest is well made though. Her makeup looks well executed, but the idea isn't that great, and the wig isn't really a pussycat wig, and the heads look crazy. Tsunami is wearing a matador costume and she looks great. She's also rizzing up her runway walk, which helps. Jane is wearing a really expensive looking latex lingerie life support number. I liked it. The wig was kind of an afterthought to the look though. Geneva's look, this to me is one of the worst looks of the season so far, with a rainbow animal print and a flapper headband and a finger wave wig. If the challenge was finger waves, I guess, but it's a certain kind of wig that I wanted, closer to what Tsunami gave. For Maya, this is the best she's looked all season. The wig could be much shorter though. Megami does a pixie look with wings and a pink pussycat wig. Her body looks great and I like the wig. Nymphia looked gorgeous in red, and she's another queen that did the pussycat that's also a wig, but hers is much nicer than Saphira's. She takes off that wig and reveals a red finger wavy wig that goes well with her outfit. Then she reveals under she's wearing a bald cap with a tiny little tuft of hair glued to it to make her head look like a vagina. Like, I get it, pussycat wig. Iconopop eats this up, but I think it's a little crude for my liking. So Ru decides that Geneva's team are the winners for the week, and they all get the win. I love that for them, as teams should always win together in my opinion. They split the cash prize 4 ways. In the judging, TS thought Saphira was in her head, but they like her look. The judges like Morphine's runway and performance, though Michelle encourages Morphine to see herself as more than a BBL. The judges love Q's look, but Michelle says she looked basic in the challenge, and Ruth says her dancing was off. They love Dawn in the challenge, but Michelle wants less elf ears in the future. Plasma gets good critiques for her performance and look. Amanda Tori gets complimented for her dancing, but Michelle called her butt wrinkly in the challenge, and they ask her to explain her runway look. She doesn't even know how to explain it. Tsunami gets praised for her dancing and her look. Ru says it's so chic. Jane gets great critiques across the board. Michelle says her lyrics were
not since Edgar Allan Poe.
Perfect time for Ru to ask who should go home tonight and why. Saphira and Morphine say Amanda. Q says Amanda and Tsunami, which visibly upsets Michelle. Dawn says Q, Plasma says Q, Amanda Q, Tsunami Q, and then Jane says Amanda. In deliberations, Ru acknowledges Tsunami's Riz.
I was feeling some kind of way when she was looking at us, and I was thinking, what am I feeling?
And summons the girls.
Chop, chop.
What the f is chop chop?
After deliberating, Ru tells Amanda Tori and Q that they'll be lip-syncing to Emergency by Iconopop, a song I've never heard in my life. Amanda whips off her nest. Q throws her sword and helmet. They're both giving a similar vibe and moves, but Q is a more dynamic lip syncer and makes up for not being able to dance or do tricks by dancing like a drunk aunt at a wedding. Ru deems Q to be the winner, so we have to say goodbye to Amanda Tori here, a queen who didn't do much that I liked on this season. Watching the show, I do end up agreeing with the sentiment of of Plain Jane, in that I don't actually think that this is a show that you should come on to learn how to do drag. While it was nice to hear that the other queens were helping her learn how to do makeup while she was there, and she did improve greatly, it's kind of frustrating as a viewer to be presented with less than excellent quality stuff on TV when you could see such great stuff in your local neighborhood by going to a local show, which makes me question the casting of the season, because Amanda Tori has only been doing drag for like 2 years, and I just feel like she wasn't really ready to be put on this cast. So I guess the producers got what they wanted in her not being polished and the other queens getting frustrated with her not being polished. By the way, none of what I'm saying is Amanda Tori's fault. She is a talented person. She's talented with dancing, singing. She said she was in Kinky Boots. She's a great TV character. I just feel like production just wanted to throw her to the wolves a little bit. With all that said, I would like to see her come back to the show after a few more years of experience. I also watched Untucked. In Untucked, they close up on the Lush bath bombs. Again, why are there Lush bath bombs in Untucked? The winners talk about how to divide 5,000 by 4. It ends up unresolved. Megami has found vindication in winning after being last picked. The rest of the girls come back after having just thrown each other under the bus to the judges. Tsunami is upset with Q.
They asked for one name and you said 2.
Amanda jokes that Jane is a mean girl, and Jane again says Amanda's drag needs work, but she seems over this narrative with Amanda and wants to yada yada past this topic. Icona Pop visits, and Dawn is comedically listening to her headphones with the lip sync song while talking to Icona Pop. Overall, I was pretty unhappy with this episode. I think the mini challenge was pretty boring. In the maxi challenge, the songs were flops, not bops. I also feel like there wasn't even really one runway that I was really blown away by. There was some juicy drama in this episode, but by the time that they got to the Untucked, the queens were even bored with the drama. So that's all I have to say about this episode. I feel like such a hater for not liking so much of it, but let me know in the comments. Am I a hater? Do you agree with me? What did you think of the episode? If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe. I'll be back next weekend with next week's episode of Drag Race. Until then, have a nice weekend. Bye!